Hey kids, welcome to Stylus Rumble Harmony Animation Ring Dime thing. Today we're going to talk about lip sync, and I turned my system audio on. Hopefully it should record the audio of this program. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Alright, so don't make fun of me. Like, obviously it's my voice. I tried to make it a little bit more mannish, but I wanted something that included all the different mouth sounds, and this is what I used to have to write in grade school to improve my handwriting, was the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. This includes everything. So I guess first I'll point out the mouth shapes. So I like to do the meow, meow. So you could do a meow, meow. And you throw an L and an F at the end. So meow. Those shapes I find work for most of the audio that I need. Of course, if you're speaking another language, you might need completely different mouth shape. I've worked with some Spanish guys, and they like to include a th, or like a big, like, kind of like this, but the tongue is like super fat and like th, for things like thistle. But I find the L works fine for that. But these are my working mouth shapes, which of course, if you want to see closelier, you can check out the Blu-ray on Gumroad, and the link is down below for that. Get this guy big in the scene, because it's going to be a dialogue scene. It's going to be pretty big. And before you do dialogue, you want to animate your whole scene. Dialogue is one of the very last things to do. Or if you finished your dialogue early and then you have a revision on your character, or you haven't finished animating, you kind of did things in the wrong order and you don't want to mess up your mouth by moving your keys around or something, the easy way to do that is to just disconnect the mouth as you're doing it and then reconnect it later, or you could save it into your template library and then replace the mouth inside your group. But I recommend leaving it till the very last thing. Audio stuff, this should be pretty common knowledge. So on your little play bar, you can turn off your scrubbing. So if you're scrubbing your back and forth across your timeline, it's not going to play it. Turn that back on. And that's how you get this sound. So if you don't have this on, if you're looking how to find that, that's where it is right there. I find it really annoying when I'm animating, have like weird sounds happening in my head. But obviously if you're doing lip sync, it's super useful. And then there's like just a little mute button down here. If you want to mute one track, if you have a bunch of different tracks or something, you can mute each one. Maybe you have your character's dialogue on separate layers or something. So that's a useful feature. I have no idea how to do it in Flash. If anybody knows where the mute button is in Flash, can you just tell me, or like link to someone that will tell me? Because I had to do a freelance project in Flash recently, and the sound was just, every time I'd play through it, it would just explode in my head, and I'd be like, I forgot the sound was there. So we'll start with the auto lip sync. People are a little too obsessed with this. It's awful. Don't do auto lip sync. Just do regular lip sync. But I'll show you how to do it so that you know. The first thing you have to do, well, once you have your audio imported, and importing audio, you should know how to import audio. So it's just import and then sound, and then you find it and then it imports. You should be able to figure that one out. So we've got our audio down here, so you can just double click this and it's going to give you this super fun box. Here in your layer properties, you will also get some fun stuff. So the first thing you want to do is detect your audio. That's in your layer properties menu. Detect. The next thing you want to do is map. Detect and map. So the source layer, this is where the audio is coming from. It's called Untitled Project because I'm a horrible person. I didn't name it properly. You have to know what the name of your mouth is. So ours is called blue_mouth. Boop. So you can select that. And the symbols in layer, this is if you're coming from Flash and you think symbols are somehow useful. In Harmony, because it doesn't have to be exported to any sort of a dynamic media system, like symbols don't really make any sense. Like it makes sense from a Flash web program standpoint, but it doesn't here, so you shouldn't have any symbols. And next is the mapping. So here's where you tell Harmony where these mouths live in your particular mouth chart. All right, so one super inconvenient factor is that you can't scrub while you have this up. So if you're trying to use your actual mouth chart to determine where these are, you can't. You have to close this and then you can see it down here. So let me grab my mouth, and you can see your little thumbnail down here of all the different mouth shapes that you have, and you have to match them up here. So I tried when I made the Blu-ray to make sure that all of the view mouths were clumped together. So here we go from 22, 24, 25, 27, 28, 29, 32, up to 32, and then it'll switch to his kind of like crooked, these like sadder mouths. But all of these ones should be in a row, which hopefully makes it a little easier if you decide to go this route. All right, so 22 is my A, 23 is my B, and hopefully they'll line up pretty close. They have fewer mouths than I have. They have like an eh, I'm going to try 28 there. That's my sort of a U mouth. E and E, like that's the same mouth shape. So I don't really get their mouth system, but you just try and line them up as best you can. All right, so I've brought up a notepad so that I can type in the letters that I want to for these ones. So when you use the auto lip sync, this is one of the biggest issues I have with it, is it has such a narrow range of mouths. So even if you use this, you still have to go back and fix it. All right, so now we have all our numbers in here mapped, and hit OK. And now if we hit map again, it's gone. Now it's back to the letters. I don't know why it does that. I'd much prefer if I hit map and it said what I just put in there so that I could make sure I'd put the right ones in there or something. Once you hit OK, it'll just automatically change these mouths the way it thinks it should. So let's watch it using the auto lip sync. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So that's terrible. I think it's a great idea, but it doesn't work. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So there you go. That was a whole lot of work for something that doesn't work very well. So just for funsies, I'm going to copy and save a version of those. So I'm just going to make a new version of both the mouths here and leave them off to the side. And now I'm going to do it the manual way, which it isn't really that much longer. The secret to lip sync is you just scroll through and see what sounds right. So here he's starting to say the, and my fingers are on the hotkeys, the square brackets, boop, boop. So I'm going to find the, and I'm just going to go over to my the sound. So the L works pretty good for a the. You might, like I said earlier, you might want to put your own the sort of a shape in there. It's really up to you. And then he says the. So the, and then this is one thing that the lip sync kind of does poorly, is when there's a lull, it goes back to neutral, but we don't. If I say the quick, I'm going to go the quick. So the next one's ku. And I might need an in-between. So the ka sound is the quick. You keep your mouth open that whole time. But I feel like if I put a little bite in there, quick, it has a little bit more punch. And auto lip sync can't add punch. It's just doing literally, this is what I think I hear. I'm going to add the shape that I've been told represents that. But there's nothing in between the big mouth and the little mouth, or like between the y and the oo. You want to put an in-between in there. And if you're trying to figure out which shapes go with which sounds, say the word, say quick, and then think, like slow it down, quick, and pay attention to your own face. If you have a camera phone, look at your face. Or I know guys who sneak off to the bathroom because they're shy and they'll talk to the mirrors in private, or they'll go into a stall and they'll like sound the stuff out on their, or they'll practice their expressions on their phone. But don't be shy to do that in the studio. Fox, instead of just fa, you're gonna go fa, so then you can get fa a little bit more. So you can get a little bit of smoothness by putting some break in, like some in-between mouths in there. I designed this mouth chart to have the in-betweens already, and most studios have plenty of mouths for lip sync. There are some studios that do it a little bit weirder, but this, I find, for cutout is the most efficient way, is to just have enough in-betweens pre-built. And then if there's a very special mouth, if there's something that goes a little bit outside of just like the normal dialogue, then you can throw that in there as a drawing substitution. All right, so I've gone through the whole thing. Brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. I don't know how I feel about that dog. Dog. Now I'll play through. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And it still looks a bit wonky. And one key thing to remember is that your eyes are a little bit faster than your ears. So you can actually just pull this back one frame and it'll look I know for myself, I have to do this. But if you play through and it looks perfect the way it is, then obviously don't change it. But if you're putting your drawing substitutions exactly where you're hearing the sounds, it might be coming just one frame too late. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So that's immediately better. I'll just undo it. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Redo it. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. And that to me feels pretty okay. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So that's just eyeballing it. And that took me, 10 minutes or so, but I was doing a lot of talking in between. Fox jumped over the lazy dog. But let's just pop back in our auto lip sync mouth so you can see the difference. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. So hopefully you did learn how to do auto lip sync, because it's good to know how to use everything even if you don't want to use it, because as you can tell, I don't want to use it. Grab your audio, whatever it happens to be called, and you go to your layer properties. You detect it, and it might take a little second depending on how long your dialogue is, how fast your processor is. And then once you've detected it, you map it. So you find the appropriate source layer, the destination layer. So this is where your mouth is. You got to go find your mouth in the group. And now I've added a couple more. If you're adding on new mouths, be sure to name it something useful. Instead of just blue mouth, blue mouth, blue mouth, blue mouth. You grab the appropriate one there, and then you map in your symbols based on these illustrations here. Then once you're done, you just hit OK, and it'll do all the work for you. It's really convenient, but it's not super great. So if you're doing a really limited style, because if you think about anime, the lip sync is not really a huge important part of that style of animation. They just do like little lip flaps. And if that's what you're going for, that's super fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Auto lip sync might be a good way to go if you're interested in that, and then you can just tidy up as you go. But I much prefer just the good old-fashioned hard work way of just use your hotkeys. If you think lip sync takes a long time, it's because you don't use your hotkeys probably, or you've got a really inconveniently laid out mouth. But hopefully you've got a convenient mouth where everyth's laid out the exact same way. So my mouths are always in the exact same order. The meowth, you get familiar with them. You can just, you're getting towards the end of the liphatus. You have to go back to get the ahs and the e's. And you just scroll along and hit those marks. And use your own face, use reference, use a mirror or camera phones now. You don't even need a mirror on your desk, and look at your own face and see how your face moves when you make those sounds. And also remember that if you are hitting those exact same marks with your audio, you may just need to pull it back one frame so that your ears and your eyes are kind of at the same pace. That always makes mine look a little better. So you can just pull it back one little frame. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Then you could think about getting into expression, like hear this dog. I almost want to go over here and grab these guys. Here it's faster to just delete these and then scroll along from that position. Dog. So I think that looks even better when I switch to the dog. And he's not doing that crazy panic speech where everyone's super happy. Preschool shows love to talk like this where everyone's happy all the time. So that's it. It's not a complicated thing, I find. You just take the time. That's really, I think, all it is. Take the time, turn off whatever else you've got going on, and just really pay attention to what's being said and how it's being said, and think about whether the expression should be involved in there. So whether you should ditch the smile mouth so you can get more of a dog, so like a long sound rather than kind of a dog. It's a dog. So listen to the sounds and use your own face. A good way to think about lip sync or practicing is just watch actors speak and look at their mouth and their face and try and, most of the time, unless you're looking at someone like Jim Carrey, their face is pretty neutral. It's not doing lots of crazy different stuff all the time, but it really depends on the character. But it's a good way to just look at how expressions go hand in hand with dialogue and just how the face moves. The simplest way I find is to just say the words yourself as close to the way the dialogue is said, and then just see what your mouth looks like. Don't overcomplicate it, and don't use auto lip sync. It's so bad. So hopefully that's helpful to you people out there. If there's anything unclear or you have questions, whatever, leave a comment down below. Like, share, subscribe, all those things that people ask you to do, and I will see you in the next video.